Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you? I lost my voice. Good morning, Bimba. How are you?
Oji,
I went to manage. What can I do? Yeah, I was honoring my grandmother. She passed away this weekend. We buried her. She was 84 years old. Beautiful woman, really. My mother's mother. May her soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you. Good morning, Rufai. How are you? I was in Umukwata, your favorite place.
My favorite.
Yes.
Look for that Umukwata on the map.
It's
on the Nigerian map.
I'm from Ukwani local government, so just go through there. Ukwani local. Yes, it's there. There's Kwale, there's Obiaruku. Good roads, nice palm trees. Yes, it's a beautiful place. Yes. You weren't there. Rufai was there.
Good place.
Well, all right.
I'm from part of Nigeria.
Yes, very nice part of Nigeria. Kwale, Utagbogbe. I hail you all. Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending, with reactions trailing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visit to Saudi Arabia to attend the Joint Arab-Islamic Summit. The president departed the country on Sunday at the invitation of King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. In a statement by the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the meeting is expected to address a number of critical regional issues, with particular emphasis on the ongoing Israel-Palestinian conflict. The statement reads in part: during the summit, President Tinubu is expected to address the ongoing Israel-Palestinian conflict, emphasizing Nigeria's strong call for an immediate ceasefire and the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. Nigeria will also advocate for renewed efforts to revive the two-state solution as a pathway to lasting peace in the region. All right, let's take some reactions, because Nigerians, I think this is an issue that has been in the front burner for a while now, even during the military era. Dr. Abati, correct me if I am wrong, and it's one of the reasons why the de facto vice president of General Babangida, is it Ubuti Ukiwe? He had actually stepped down because of this particular issue, whether or not Nigeria is a secular state. Now, this is a fine. He wrote, Nigeria is a secular state. At least the Constitution says so. Nigeria is not in the Middle East. So why exactly was invitation extended to Mr. President? If the situation was reversed, I can bet everything that our brethren from the other side will not take it lightly. Well, I believe Angela, this is a balanced tweet here. Angela wrote, Nigeria with a compelling Muslim demography must be at the summit. Again, being a member of the OIC, her presence is not only desirous, but desirable. I congratulate President Tinubu for his state arrival and wish Nigeria, Palestine, and Muslim world a fruitful deliberation. Well, there was another, I believe, tweet that Bayo Onanuga had posted with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's entourage there, if we can pull up that tweet. And then he had written that, the president was received, I believe, by the deputy governor of Riyadh region. Also, listed some reactions. Dr. Abati.
What is on in diplomatic relations is that presidents are received by their equals.
Yes.
Or they are received by high-ranking members of the government. When we were in government, some of the people who received presidents were ministers, ranking ministers. But for a deputy governor of a region to go and receive the president of Nigeria, there's probably a breach of protocol there. But the call is for our Ministry of Foreign Affairs to have handled this better. But we don't know the ranking of that deputy governor of Riyadh. Now, that's number one. Number two is that the people who are saying, oh, Nigeria should not be part of an Arab-Islamic Summit. Well, we're back to 1986.
Yeah.
In 1986, when the Babangida administration decided to take us to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, it was the same argument. People quoting Section 10 of the Constitution, which says that Nigeria, shall not adopt any religion as a state religion. However, the thing to realize is that in an emerging multipolar world, Africa is the last frontier. Many of these countries, whether it's from the Arab world, or it's Japan, or it's Iran, or it's the countries in Asia, or even Russia, they are looking for African countries in terms of cooperation. Now, the issue there, either in OIC or in the Arab-Africa Summit, which President Tinubu attended, and now he's attending the Arab-Islamic Summit, it's not about religion. It's about cooperation. In a world that is becoming digital, in a world where there are issues that tie us together as a common humanity, climate change, oil and gas, and all of that. So education, technology, healthcare, these are the things that they discuss at some of these fora. It's not that they are going there to go and promote Islamic religion or Christian religion. I think our people need to be properly educated in that regard. Number 3, of course, is that the president is the chief foreign policy officer of the country. And that's why when he travels, people may complain about the frequency of the travels, about 29 times since he assumed office 18, 19 months ago. But foreign policy is part of his assignment. And he has taken the step to reduce the objections by saying that he has reduced the size of his entourage. They're going to an Arab-Islamic summit. I don't think they are going there with an agenda of religion. It's about cooperation. Right. And the world is cooperating. Even Russia is pledging total support to countries in Africa. It's not about anything other than trying to take advantage of whatever opportunities are available internationally. All right,
Dr. Abati, you mentioned frequency. 29 times he's gone abroad. I mean, that is the frustration. When I look at reactions on social media, a lot of Nigerians have said, okay, please stay at home. There's huge insecurity in the land at this moment, and I saw a lot of reactions regarding that. If I come to you, Rufai, in the meantime, a counter-insurgency publication, Zagazola Makama, focused on the Lake Chad region, reported over the weekend that members of a new terrorist group, Lakurawa, are offering financial incentives to recruit young people in Sokoto State. According to the publication, the new group is offering as much as 1 million naira to young men in exchange for their allegiance. Makama quoted sources saying that the financial initiatives are part of an aggressive recruitment campaign aimed at attracting followers to their cause. The group are reported to adhere to extremist ideologies similar to the beliefs of Boko Haram. Well, we know that over the weekend, the group had killed about 15 people in Kebbi State. Defense headquarters recently declared 9 suspected members of the group wanted. I believe the spokesperson, Edward Buba, had said that, the terrorists were from the Niger Republic, and they came from that time when there was that sort of disruption between Nigeria and Niger. Let me take a reaction with this story. This is from Chief Emmanuel, who wrote, "This development is deeply concerning and highlights an urgent need for a coordinated response to counter-extremism in Nigeria's northwest. The Lakurawa group's tactic of offering substantial financial incentives to economically vulnerable youth in Sokoto directly targets those who may feel they have few options. This, combined with extremist ideology, poses a serious threat to stability in the region. The presence of individuals reportedly from Mali, Chad, Libya, Niger, and Burkina Faso indicates a transnational dimension to this group, transforming it into a regional security issue. Extremist groups like Lakurawa exploit local grievances such as economic hardship and lack of opportunities to attract recruits, often creating a dangerous sense of belonging for disenfranchised young people. Relevant agencies like the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Police Force, the Department of State Services must increase surveillance and intelligent efforts to monitor and counter this threat. Additionally, agencies focused on economic development, such as Nigerian Youth Investment Fund, can collaborate to offer alternative pathways through job creation, education, and skill development programs. This joint approach, combining security with socio-economic intervention, can help protect communities from exploitation by extremist groups. I thought that was such an important message from that Twitter user, especially the last part, where he talked about, the collaboration of trying to have this sort of, initiative where you can engage young people in skill work.
Okay, so a couple of things. I'll merge two stories together. I mean, the great Ochaya, Okiwe, was apt in his rebuttal then. And Okiwe is one of those rare men in Nigeria that decided to say, power doesn't mean so much or the hand to me. If it does go in line with my convictions, I'll leave. And he left being, the number 2 man in this country, the great Ochaya. Truth is, it must get to a time, and let's dial back as regards the OIC. It started because of the Al-Hassa fire that happened when Muslim in Jerusalem and the Muslim region said, the Muslim country said, let's have a force, a speaking force.
Yeah.
And they brought or they coupled a couple of these nations together, Muslim majority nations. Some African countries also joined. But my big question is, why is Africa constantly always being the one to carry the begging bowl around to join almost everything? Nigeria is a secular nation. Let's never forget that, and that's my argument. Yes, they might do a lot in terms of collaboration, trade, and partnership and all of that. But as the name implies, nations that have majority Muslims. And it looks as an optics that is not fair on the other people in Nigeria that are of other faiths. It's just like Nigeria joining the World Christian Association. There's an imbalance there. So please, let us also set that straight. And Africa should stop being a begging bowl. As regards President Tinubu and the vice, governor of the Riyadh region, this was the same Nigeria that when our prime minister went visiting Tafawa Balewa in the 60s in America, it was the vice president of America that came to receive him in the airport. Compare and contrast those time and now. It shows that Nigeria is losing something on the international scene. As regards this terrorist group, Oji, for this terrorist group to even bring out, say they want to give people 1 million naira, then there are people funding them. What has the government done to at first block the financial muscle of this group? For every bullet shot, people are buying those bullets. So the government should be able to come in with intelligence, NFIU and the likes to see who are those funding this group. Secondly, use intelligence and drones and everything to swoop in on them.
Absolutely.
Thirdly, the economic condition. After the Metisani riots, it was said that if we don't fix the economic condition of the north and some other areas, then we're going to have long-lasting problems. Those problems have come home to roost now. Hernando de Soto famously wrote about the mystery of capital. It was Hernando de Soto's suggestion that helped end most of the war in his native Peru. He said, give property rights and give economic empowerment to the people of a certain area, and the role of insurgent group will stop. Because these people too, we have foot soldiers in those communities because of the economic empowerment. Absolutely. So how can we turn that around? The last tweet has talked about things like empowerment schemes in those areas.
Yes.
So let's work on this, but most importantly, let's find the money. When a revelation was made in Dubai, I regard people that were funding some terrorist group in Nigeria, till today, those people have not been brought to book. So we must be able to stop the money trail so that groups like this do not become a problem, because it's fast becoming a problem, and this situation is muffing and muffing. I
mean, for me, Vimba, is the brazen disregard for our security forces. These people are out there in broad daylight. I tried to send the video to our, correspondent in the north, and they said they were not speaking Hausa, they were speaking Fufude. And, it's quite rare to see people just out there. What is the location? Why is it possible for them to be able to do this? Before I come to you, in the meantime, the Sokoto State Police Command has confirmed the arrest and jailing of a woman, Hamdiya Sidi, who was accused of embarrassing the state governor, Ahmad Aliyu, on social media. Sidi was said to have condemned insecurity in the state and demanded action against bandits and incessant killings in a video posted on social media. She also highlighted the takeover of villages and houses being burnt to the ground. Sidi was reported to have been secretly arraigned without access to a lawyer or family members last week, and is being persecuted for inciting unrest in the state. Vimbai.
This is so heartbreaking because Sokoto State should be using these resources to counter the insurgency that has emerged in their state. Now, I was reading a report that was released by Vanguard, and Vanguard says that this Lakurawa terrorist group is not new. They say that the Sokoto State DSS has been aware of them since 2018. What was done with that information? Only God knows. But now you see people who are coming out to social media to try and create some sort of awareness, and then this is how you treat them. But I want to dial back very quickly. I know Dr. Abati made a very valid point about the fact that the president is our chief foreign policy officer. Now, it's concerning to see that at the moment our foreign policy seems to be, is addressing the Middle East crisis. However, when you look at groups like Lakurawa specifically, and the fact that they're coming from Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, these are countries that are former ECOWAS members that Nigeria has had a spat with. So it's concerning because it feels like we should be addressing regional issues. Our foreign policy right now should be prioritizing our relationships with our neighbors, where these groups are now infiltrating from and emerging. Now, the next big concern with regards to this terrorist group and this insecurity currently in Sokoto State is that when you read about this group, Oji, they're focusing more on indoctrinating young people than actually creating violence. So besides the cash reward that you mentioned, or rather the cash incentive that you mentioned, what they're doing is they're focusing on trying to brainwash young people. They're saying that you should not, you're not allowed to carry a beard. They're saying that you're not allowed to listen to music. And if you're caught doing those things, then you are punished severely in those various local government areas. So this goes back, everything is connected. It still goes back to the issue we discussed last week. Young people who are arraigned for protesting are sent back to their villages, to their local government areas with 100,000 Naira and smartphones. Well, now the terrorists are coming and saying, oh, okay, 100,000, we can do better. Give them 1 million. We haven't solved any problems. Yeah. We haven't solved any problems. So in all of this, I know Saudi Arabia has launched a fund that they've pledged that they'll invest $40 billion to sub-Saharan Africa in the next few years. So I understand the importance of Nigeria traveling abroad to engage with various people to try and attract much needed foreign investment. However, right now, our foreign policy direction looks like it needs to focus on our immediate neighbors to quell some of this.
Absolutely. Well said.
2 quick points.
Well said.
Very briefly. Now, even that foreign policy process is to be reviewed. That's what the experts are saying. The Afrocentric approach, the Father Christmas approach of our foreign policy. That's the big, academic point there. Now, the 2 things that I would just like to put on the table. When Commodore Abitu Ikiwe left the Babangida administration, he didn't resign. He was removed. So that should be underscored. But the point is that he opposed Nigeria joining the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Number 2, another point of history, there was the Yom Kippur War in 1967. There was also the Yom Kippur War again in 1973. Now, Nigeria severed relationship with Israel in 1973. Now, what happened? When Nigeria under Babangida now joined OIC, Christians, so there was a lot of religious sentiment. Now, how will you turn against Israel, where we go for Christian pilgrimage, and you go and join OIC? So there was that religious sentiment at that time. And Nigeria did not restore relations with Israel until September 1992. So these are historical facts that may guide those who are saying this is about Islam.
All right. Well, this new terrorist group, Lakurawa, I mean, it's an emerging story, and for them to compare it like the people from Boko Haram is just really, really scary. Where we've been talking about the fact that Boko Haram is almost decimated, and now we are seeing a new group forming now. Again, they said that they killed 15 people in Kebbi State over the weekend. May their souls rest in peace. Amen. All right, take another story. We received a video showing a group of students, reportedly from the Federal Government College in Enugu, bullying a fellow student. The video has been widely circulated on social media. The boy who was being bullied was said to be a junior student and was attacked by his senior colleagues. School authorities are yet to respond to the video or the incident that led to the act. I thought I should highlight this video for the school authorities to come out, because I am going to follow this video. You know that this sort of story is heartbreaking. Bullying should not be tolerated at all in any school. I believe this was a boarding school as well. So we'll follow up on the story. A young boy, he didn't deserve that beating at all. Well, let's head over to the United States now, where President-elect Donald Trump's victory Now, the recent post continues to generate reactions as analysts from across the globe debate on some of Trump's campaign policies, which may have helped him secure his second term in office. The issue of transgender rights has been a major topic. In a video now circulating on social media, which was released last year, Trump vowed that if he was re-elected, he would punish doctors who provide gender-affirming care to minors, which he equated to child abuse and child sexual mutilation. Trump also stated that he would push for a federal law recognizing only two genders, male and female. Let's take a look before we come back for a discussion.
On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today.
All right, Vimbai. I mean, he definitely appealed to a nuclear family. And definitely you would hear that and you would say absolutely yes. You know, this is one of my biggest issues, this transgender rights as well. If you're trying to impose your transgender rights on other people, especially children, like we discussed, one of my biggest issues. But we also had a video, before I come to you, of Kamala Harris, when she invited, members of TV series Square Eye to the White House back in June. Here is that video as we discussed. If you can pull up that video, you see, this is one of the reasons that she probably lost the election. Go ahead, Vimbai.
All right. Well, first of all, this is illegal in Nigeria and several other African countries, which is actually, same-sex relationships. However, the reason why a lot of people resonated with Trump's messaging is because American culture influences heavily what happens with global culture. Whatever is popular in America is ultimately passed on to the rest of the world. For example, now you cannot watch Netflix, YouTube, you can't watch cartoons without seeing some form of LGBTQ representation. Now, adults who are in countries where this is legal are absolutely free to exercise their rights. That's not our business. My concern is when we are now bringing children into this conversation. And I bring this conversation home by saying, of course, I'm not at liberty to name names, but there is a school, or there's a number of schools here in this Nigeria who sent questionnaires home to primary students, questionnaires asking them, which gender do you feel you are? Do you think you're more this or do you think you're that? What do you want to identify as? This is how the culture filters into our countries, not to mention the other agreements, which is sometimes when there are trade agreements and so forth, these rights are snuck into various sections. So, you know what? What Donald Trump is saying is what generally most Africans believe in. However, children should be allowed to be children.
Absolutely.
They don't need to be sexualized. They don't need to be indoctrinated. Let's allow children to just be young, sweet, innocent, and just
Dr. Mati, I liked his last soundbite there where he said that, we've never seen this trend before. In all of history, we've never seen this trend before.
Well, Donald Trump,
quick point.
Is hard right-wing, even if I don't know whether he can quote a passage from the Bible, so he will have to appeal to his base. He campaigned on the basis of conservative ideas. Even his chief of staff is an Episcopalian, that's Susie Wiles. So don't be surprised that he says we would take another look at Medicare, we issue an executive order on transgender and similar things. He would want to strengthen his base continuously. But the big issue in America for Trump, and we hope that he will begin to focus on that very quickly, is the economy. Even the Democrats have admitted that perhaps he won because of his programs about economy. He wants to put 20% tariff on the global imports. He's going to put 60% to 100% tariffs on imports. He's going to cancel AGOA, for African and other countries. He's going to do a lot of things to undocumented immigrants about cartel. That is creating global uncertainty. And the implications of all of that, will not just be domestic, will be global.
Rufai, quick point.
So for me, and this is my ideology as regards things like this, I'm an African first. I uphold African values. And there are lots of things that are done in America that doesn't seep through our values. They can use their media ecosystem to push all these things, but it doesn't come near our own African values. And that's why we should constantly bolster our African values. But the hypocrisy of Trump, this is not me talking. This is the Telegraph newspaper, reputable newspaper, so go and argue with the Telegraph. The Trump administration, this is on the 17th of October 2024, the Trump administration signed off on sex change surgeries for transgender prisoners, according to reports. Officials in the Department of Justice gave the green light to the procedures and also included hormone therapy and hair removal in 2018, while Donald Trump was in the White House, the New York Times reported.
Yeah, well, like Vimbai said, those are adults.
You are right. Trump is perpetually reversing himself on everything.
Exactly.
After all, he said cryptocurrency, that cryptocurrency was a scam. Today now, he is supporting cryptocurrency.
Vimbai had said.
It's not the case of those adults. Let me tackle you on that. Vimbai, Trump took ads. He paid over $40 million of ads, constantly pushing the narrative that it was Kamala Harris that was doing the sex change thing for prisoners. He took $40 million in ads out.
Vimbai, you had made a very valid point that this is illegal in Nigeria. The Democrats have accused Donald Trump of that his laws are a bit draconian. Maybe we should also try to review some of those homosexual laws, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
And we're
an international channel.
That's your own matter.
Well, all right. Let's take our story under entertainment. The 2025 nominations for the Grammy Awards were announced over the weekend, and multiple Grammy Award-winning artist Beyonce Knowles made history, leading with 11 nominations, including the highly coveted Album of the Year, making her the most nominated artist of all time, with 99 nominations, surpassing her previous tie with her husband, Jay-Z, who has 88 nominations, while Nigerian singer, songwriter, and record producer Temilade Okpeniyi, who goes by the stage name Tems, bagged 3 nominations. She's among the notable nominees for the Best African Music Performance category, which includes Yemi Alade, Asake and Wizkid, Burna Boy, Davido, and Lojay, while Afrobeat sensation Rema received a nomination in the Best Global Music Album category.
I'm down, nigga, can't see me, John Cena, and I go to Baba, Elu Melu, na baba. Osedola na baba. Bayo na baba. Governor Bazeki na baba.
Congratulations to all our Africa. Grammy Awards. I have my fingers crossed for Thames, who has 3 nominations. What do you have? Yes, I'm speaking. Which one? David? Well, okay, because you know woman power. For you, Yemi David. Okay. All right, David. I'm proud of all of them. Yes.
And also
Rema.
All of
absolutely.
them win it. All of them.
All right. Well, all right. Congratulations to all the nominees. Well, before we end what's trending today, let's highlight 4 Nigerians who have been elected into various political offices in the United States and Australia in our Good News Report. Well, there's a growing list of Nigerians in the diaspora who have achieved success in the international scale in different fields, including music, movies, sports, and politics is certainly not to be excluded. Well, over the weekend, the Nigerian Diaspora Commission disclosed in a statement that 4 Nigerians have made strides in international politics by securing various elected positions in the recent elections in the United States and Australia. Well, in a historic win in the United States, Adeyemi Mobolade was elected mayor of Colorado Springs, becoming the first black person to hold the position. His election has been described as a milestone for the city, reflecting its evolving political landscape. Then, Dr. Oye Owulewa was re-elected as the shadow representative for the District of Columbia under the Democratic Party. His role focuses on advocating for the interests of Washington, D.C., including the ongoing push for statehood and local governance issues. Well, Segun Adeyina also retained his seat as the state representative for District 110 in Georgia. Adeyina has an extensive background in IT program and project management, having worked with Fortune 500 companies such as General Motors and Hewlett-Packard. Meanwhile, in Australia, Chiaka Barry, a legal officer, was elected to the Australian Capital Territory Legislative Assembly, representing the Ginninderra district under the Liberal Party. Her commitment to serving the community has been a key part of her career. Absolutely phenomenal for Nigerians. I mean, I just had to do a feel-good story. All right, like I said, Australia and United States. Madam,
they will calls when she calls.
Well, I hope
please, they should pick her calls.
Well, all right. I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.